Okay, what's going on, Browns fans? Oh my goodness, what a day! What a day! What a day! I had a feeling that they were going to fire Hugh Jackson, but I had no idea that Todd Haley was going to be out the door with him, which is funny and probably deservedly so. So let's get into the story. It's easy to say that we saw it coming. This is a Sports Illustrated article written by Connor Orr. Said the Hard Knocks miniature, all tiny arguments and disagreements, all the instances where it seemed Hugh Jackson had then lost the opportunity to take control of his Browns team and run it with the smooth confidence he once had. Excuse me. He does not have smooth confidence. Anyway, it's easy to point to the record and the trail of bumbling on field performances that took place over the course of this 3 year rebuild. It's easy to lay out some kind of nebulous progress arc Baker Mayfield needed to hit by now and reason that he may have not what? Wow, this is horrible writing. Needed to hit by now and reason that he may have not be reaching it under the current circumstances. That was horrible. It's easy to say Jackson cemented his fate by questioning Todd Haley, who was also fired on Monday, then insisting he infused his expertise into the game plan as if he hadn't tried and failed to do so myriad times over the last 40 games. Wow, this guy's writing is horrible. I'm not gonna read this. I'm not about to read this. This guy's writing is horrible. So if anything, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna talk about, excuse me, the obvious problems that I started noticing around week 3. You didn't have a veteran number one wide receiver. Now, we saw the Amari Cooper trade go down. I wanted that to happen for Cleveland. Is he worth a number one? Well, he is a number one wide receiver. And things in Oakland are pretty bad. Things are all up in the air. They said that, like, as far as Browns fans that I talked to, they were talking about how he drops a lot of passes. Well, David Njoku was dropping a lot of passes too, but suddenly now, after Baker Mayfield got into the game, now he can make the tough catches. Now he can make the easy catches. He drops very little passes. So eventually a wide receiver can come around. Now, last year he was hurt with knee and ankle injuries, so therefore he had a horrible season last year. But the two previous seasons, he was over 1,000 yards receiving and made the Pro Bowl. So it's not like he can't play. This year, the Raiders are just out there. John Gruden he is trading away the heart and soul of the team. He loves Marshawn Lynch, but you got rid of your best defensive player. You got rid of Amari Cooper. And I know you have all of these number one draft picks, but that doesn't mean that the players you want are going to be available. Other teams have number one draft picks too. At any rate, so the Browns do not have a bona fide number one. You've got a solid number two, a solid number three in Hollywood Higgins, and then a bunch of nobodies that if you cut them today, nobody would pick them up. Plain and simple. So Baker Mayfield has nobody to throw to. The offensive line is horrible outside of Batonio. I mean, you're talking about a bunch of guys who do not have the strength to move the pile on fourth and inches at the goal line. That is your offensive line. You have a right tackle that's slow on the snap and a left tackle that has no power whatsoever, let alone speed, because Bud Dupree yesterday ran right by him so many times. He might as well have not even have been out there. It was ridiculous. And all the Steelers did was blitz. They blitzed the corner off the right side several times because the right tackle couldn't pick him up. He was too slow. And he doesn't have any power. Kevin Zeitler, what a joke. I will give it up to the center, though. At least he's in there on one ankle. He's trying at Baker Mayfield's expense. So, offensive line, you have to rebuild that probably from right tackle, right guard, and left tackle. That's just horrible. Uh, so the other problem is depth at linebacker because Jamie Collins, up until yesterday, he had pretty much disappeared from what I saw. And people say, well, he's leading the lead. He's leading the team in tackles. Yeah, but they're not impact tackles. DeQuell Jackson used to lead the Browns in tackles, but most of his tackles happened 10 yards down the field. So what does that mean? What does that tell you? So, at any rate, now that this team is in complete disarray, hold on. Now that this team is in complete disarray, you have your defensive coordinator filling in as the interim head coach. His son will take over the defensive play calling duties. I hope he's smarter than his father. I hope he's able to get those guys to stop the run because they keep giving it up. I mean, I'm tired of seeing no-name running backs run for over 100 yards and 2 to 3 touchdowns per game against the Browns. That's ridiculously sad on a defense that has some of the best pass rushers and run stoppers, supposedly based on salary in the league. The offensive coordinator, what is the point in even mentioning it? Is some guy who used to call offensive plays. He called the Detroit Lions game in the preseason, which they said was successful. So they're like, all right, it'll just have to do. And I know I didn't do a review on the Tampa Bay game, and I was going to do a review on the Steelers game today, but I was like, you know what? After that Tampa Bay loss, it was such a heartbreaking, emotionally draining loss, especially with the whole hit in the head thing, that I decided not to mess with it. The secondary, from what I can tell, in all honesty, I think it's time to move on from Jabril Peppers. I think he's a waste of time. I would say go ahead and trade him for a number one wide receiver. Elevate Kendricks to the starting strong safety spot because he can play. He's made more plays than Jabril Peppers, and he's the backup. So what does that tell you? So go ahead and put him back out there. Get rid of Peppers. He's been a waste of a pick. Um, of course, the linebacker core needs depth. They need better run stuffers. The defensive line appears to be solid from what I can tell. The offensive line, we already covered that. Running backs are solid. Quarterback is solid. Wide receiver needs at least one upgrade. Hollywood Higgins, when he comes back, he'll help solidify that wide receiving core. So we'll see what happens. Now, coming up next Sunday, they're at Kansas City. Well, Kansas City comes to Cleveland. I think the defense will try to show a strong outing, but of course they'll get worn down because I don't know how well this offense is going to perform. So we'll see. As far as winnable games, people are saying that Atlanta is a winnable game. Atlanta comes to Cleveland Sunday, November 11th, so that's a possibility. Then you have the bye week. After that, you're at Cincinnati, which doesn't look winnable. Then you're at Houston, which doesn't look winnable. Then Carolina comes into the house, which doesn't look winnable. Then you go to Denver. That's a winnable game as far as how they stand right now. Then Cincinnati comes to your house, which doesn't look winnable, and then you're at Baltimore, which will probably be a winnable game. Now, based on how this year will end, because I'm trying to decide whether or not I should do any more reviews for the rest of the year on these games, because I'm pretty much going to be calling out the same thing over and over and over again. The inability for wide receivers to get open, inability for the offensive line to block, inability of the linebackers to play the run. Those are going to be my three main topics. I really get the feeling. So, but I'm gonna see. I'm gonna give Kansas City. I'm gonna give the Kansas City game a chance. I want to see if they actually can finally stop the run, hold a mobile quarterback in the pocket, at least be able to slow him down and be able to pass protect. Wide receivers able to get open. We'll see. Goodness gracious, look at this. At the game versus where Kansas City comes in, the tickets are as low as $30. The Falcons game, tickets are as low as $30. The Carolina game, tickets are as low as $24. At the last home game with Cincinnati, tickets are as low as $63. Wow, that's crazy. It's not going to be a good off season. Well, maybe we'll see. All right, y'all. I gotta go. I'm just glad that now finally Hugh Jackson is out of the building, because he's been nothing but a liar and manipulative and deceitful. We'll see who they go from here as far as head coach at the end of the season. Peace out.